Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Pile Up Rush, or in English, Pile Up Rush. This is put out by Korea Boardgames, and it is a two-player or team dexterity game where you are trying to stack these unnaturally shaped pieces of wood onto a disc that can either be on a flat, easy side or a difficult, notched, drilled out side. And you get points for a number of different things. Let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works. Then we'll come back with some final thoughts. There might even be a special guest in the near future. In Pile Up Rush, the point of the game is to get 4 victory points and be the winner. And each round is played until one side or the other scores either 1 or 2 victory points. The 3 ways that you can get victory points is if your opposing team causes one of the other things to fall outside of the ring. Another one is if the opposing team fails to flip the hourglass before the sand runs out. You get 1 point for that. And then finally, you can get 2 victory points during the course of a round if you manage to get all of your pieces piled up onto the dial here. And so one round is played until one of those 3 victory point conditions is met, and then another round is played, and so forth and so on until somebody reaches 4 points. And for each victory point you win, whether it's 1 or 2, you'll be able to take a block of the opposing player and remove it from their pool, which means that it's possible for them to get more, it's easier for them to get all of their pieces on the board at some point. But remember that if one person has 4 of their opponent's blocks, they've won the game, so it's not that much easier. All right, so just to basically show you how easy it is to teach this game, I pulled in this guy off the street. He is going to... Have you ever played this game before, first of all?
No,
like
sir,
in one
I
of those
haven't.
infomercials, right? You've never played this before, right?
I've never seen this before.
You've never seen this before. Okay, good. So basically, this is called Pile Up Rush, and we're trying to get 4 victory points first. You get victory points if your opponent makes something fall outside of the ring. You also get victory points if time runs out and your opponent doesn't flip the timer before the end of their before ending their turn. And you also can score 2 victory points for having all of your pieces stacked up. All right, that's how you win the game. Now, when you get a victory point, you take one of the opponent's pieces. All right, for every victory point that you got. So if you manage to get all of yours onto the thing, you can take 2 of the pieces from the other person.
Okay.
That's how you win.
Okay.
First person 4 victory points. Now, how do you place things on here? First of all, you can only use 1 hand. You can't use 2 and do something like this. You can only use 1 hand. Second of all, you cannot touch anything else. Like if you wanted that one to move, you couldn't go like this and then place this. But you could do this, move it with one of the pieces. All right, that's the other thing. Secondarily, you cannot flip the timer if you have a piece in your hand. And that's all the rules.
Okay.
All right. So I'll go first, which is a little bit of an advantage, especially since I've played it before. But you'll get, and we'll play through a round, and then we'll see who scores the victory points.
All right.
Okay, here we go. So you go ahead and flip the timer for me.
But you flip your own normally, right?
Normally, yes. All right, so that's that. So you have to place at least 1 piece, but you can place up to 3.
Oof.
So that, and then I'll do this. Oh, see, that doesn't count, so I got to make sure that that stays up there before time runs out. There we go. So now I flip it, and it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
I should say that these are not exactly accurate pieces. Okay, there you go. And oh, you left me a lot of good stuff. Take it. I'll go ahead and flip it. Want to flip? Have fun with that, buddy. jerk. Okay, this one is a wee bit strange.
Oh.
A wee bit strange here, so let's see if I can. Yep. Oh. Yeah, baby! Woo! So, I get 1 point. I will take this piece away from you, and I've got 1 point, and now we continue playing until one of us reaches 4 points.
Okay.
It's a really simple, easy game to teach, but it's a lot of fun. And it's got weirdly, oddly shaped pieces.
That's not cool.
So there you have it. That is Pile Up Rush by Korea Boardgames. It is a dexterity game. This is usually not one of my usual go-to genres for enjoying games, but I have to say that I did enjoy this one. I think it has something to do with the nice big chunky pieces that come in the game because they're not, I don't feel like I'm gonna break them as I'm using them. They just have some, not heft, but they just have some size to them, and that's what I think I liked about this dexterity game that I usually don't like about some dexterity games. Their pieces are very small. My hands are a little bit on the thicker side, so dealing with smaller pieces in a dexterity game especially is problematic for me. So with this game though, that problem was solved with having larger, easily wielded, that's bad English, pieces that you're stacking on top of this thing. Now, there are some other things that I didn't go through in the playthrough because I just wanted to show you the mechanisms of the game and how it kind of works together. If you play this with teams, you can actually have players playing simultaneously onto the thing. I think it's more fun as just a two-player back and forth kind of game because then it becomes a little bit more skill, less random luck, less people hitting the table, that type of thing. Now, other than that, I think that this is a very easily taught game, and that's one of the reasons why I had Z come on, is because I wanted to see just how simple it was to show somebody how the game plays and then get to playing. It happened very quickly. You lay out the victory point conditions, you lay out just a couple of the piece placement rules that the game has with it, and then you get running. And that's one of the things that I really like about it. And that's where I'll start with my pros section, is that this is extremely easy to teach and extremely easy to play. Now, with that having been said, you do get better as you play the game more often. So it has a very simple learning curve, but the mastery curve probably is a little bit steeper, especially if you're somebody like me and you get a little shaky in tense situations. But it is very fun to play, very easy to play, and you also have a level of mastery or skill that is added into it throughout the course of your plays. So those are the pros. The third pro that I have for you here is the pieces. Now, again, these are just wooden shapes. But the thing that I like about the wooden shapes is that they are abnormal shapes. I mean, here you have what looks to be just a block of a rectangular block of wood. But if you look closely, this isn't even, and neither is this side either. So if you try to set it up on its end, it's going to lean a little bit, which means it's going to have a little bit more of a structural integrity factor that goes into it. Another thing that I failed to mention is that you cannot flip this timer until the sand goes below this line. During the course of the game, that's usually not going to be a problem because it's going to be pretty close to that line once it becomes your turn. So if you place one thing and look back, it's ready to flip if you choose to, or maybe you want to push your luck and try to get another piece or two. Now, cons for the game are kind of situational kind of cons because some people are just not going to gravitate towards this kind of game. They already have shaky hands. They're already a little bit, I don't know, nervous maybe, or skittish. I don't know what you would call it, but they just don't like these kinds of games. I'm actually one of those people for the most part, but this one kind of transcends that dislike of dexterity games for the factors that I've already mentioned. So, but I recognize that that could be a con, that some people just aren't gonna like this kind of game. But it has a kind of junk art feel to it because you have all of these abnormal shapes that are being stacked on top of one another, but it's in a sort of a miniature format, I guess you could say. And really that's about it as far as cons are concerned. Everything else, I think this is a great production quality. I will say that these things are really slippery. So if you think that you can get something on that pile at an angle without having it slip off, think again, because I tried that a lot. Didn't work out so well. So anyway, that's my final thoughts for Pile Up Rush. I'm gonna give this one 2 thumbs up, but with that having been said, this is gonna fall around a 7 for me because I'm normally not one that likes dexterity games, and while this is one that I do enjoy, it's still not that high on my list because it is a dexterity game. But 7 out of 10 gains a seal of approval from me for it. So that is Pile Up Rush. Go take a look. As always, try before you buy if at all possible. But hey, we'll see you on the flip side.